Andrew Perloff here for SI.com. The conference championship game matchups are set, and the Niners are headed out to Seattle. I'm joined by our own Chris Burke to break down the matchup. Now, is this what you had all along, Niners and Seahawks facing each other in the conference championship game?
Yeah, I'm certainly not surprised that this is the matchup we've got. I think they were heading into the season. I think we expect them to be the two of the best teams in the NFC, and certainly when it played out the way it did with Seattle at home for the divisional round, and San Francisco knowing what they can do in the playoffs and getting the fairly favorable matchups that they got. I'm not surprised that this is what we got.
Well, they did face a Panthers team that they had lost to. It seems like they're kind of hot now. Is this the same team that lost to the Seahawks in the regular season in Seattle? Now, I know they split, but they really looked bad in that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a totally different team. That was week 2, and they beat Seattle on the turnaround in San Francisco later in the year. They've won 8 in a row now. They've got everyone healthy too, which is important. Michael Crabtree's back. They've really rounded out that offense well, I think, so that they're back to the point that they were during last year's playoff run. And obviously, as we saw today, the defense is playing about as well as it has all season. When you can keep Cam Newton in check the way that they did, it certainly bodes well going into Seattle against Russell Wilson, who does a lot of the same things that Cam does. Gets outside the pocket and extends plays, and they weren't flustered by that at all. So I think it's a dangerous team, and like I said, they look dangerous heading into the playoffs, and nothing's really changed to alter that view.
All right, now on the Seattle side, Russell Wilson did not throw for a lot of yards against the Saints. Seemed to struggle a bit, but they don't need it with Marshawn Lynch running crazy. Does Russell Wilson need to pass the ball better against San Francisco on Sunday?
I think he probably will, because I don't think you can count on Marshawn Lynch to run for 130, 140 yards against that San Francisco front. So at some point you're going to need Russell Wilson to move the sticks through the air. In his defense, the play calling in that game, once they got up 16-0, whatever it was, that they sort of went into the ultra conservative shell and just bet on their defense. Really, they didn't want to make any mistakes. They didn't want to turn the ball over. So you saw a lot of running plays. You didn't give Russell Wilson a chance to get the ball downfield a lot, and I think that's really what played into his stats. So I wouldn't worry if I was Seattle on those stats, but certainly he needs to be better than he was, at least statistically, this last weekend.
It's interesting. It's been a reversal of the trend the last few years. The home teams are winning in the playoffs. It looks like the top seeds are doing well. That home field advantage in Seattle, we haven't seen anything like that in a long time. The Niners, maybe they're used to a little bit, but how do you counter that? I mean, it seems almost impossible to even get the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, they're used to it. So having played there certainly helps. And not only, having played there once or twice, but having been there every year, I think you get a little more experience, obviously. So, from their standpoint, you hope it doesn't fluster you as much. I think that you'll see them do the same sorts of things that other teams have tried to do, silent counts and maybe even a little hurry up to try and counter the crowd noise. But it's just something that you have to deal with, something you have to overcome. It gives Seattle a boost. I think we've seen that proof positive all season long and all last season. They've been great at home, and it's a test. It's going to be a test for San Francisco. But again, they have the experience of playing there. They have the experience of winning in the playoffs over the last 2 years. So you wouldn't think that anything would throw them way off their game.
All right, now I know you made your pre-playoff picks. Who do you got advancing here?
Out of that one, I think you got to stick with Seattle. I just said I think San Francisco will be able to handle the crowd noise at least adequately well. But I think playing at home gives Seattle a boost, and they have had that success against San Francisco in the recent past in Seattle. So I think you stick with the home team there.
Thank you, Chris. For Chris Burke, I'm Andrew Perloff for SI.com.